Hello and welcome back to another episode of Diablo to D&D. My name is David, and today we're going to be going over the Assassin. It's a little different story this time around. I'm just kind of doing an overview, just some of the complexities and questions that I have, not really a fix or create, just kind of a checkup instead. All right, so let's move on to the campaign update. We're still in the Arcane Sanctuary. There's still a lot of fighting going on. I took a slightly different tack this time around. Instead of just throwing things at them in kind of an open combat, I pinned them down inside of a room that had two entrances. When a Sand Raider came to one of them and blocked the entrance, they managed to knock it down, and another Sand Raider comes up and sees, oh no, my friend is lying there, and so it stands over the top and defends while the turns go, so the first one can escape. And then, they hear these big heavy footsteps coming down the hall, and the door that was on the other wall gets blown to pieces as a blunderboard just shoulder checks it and starts shoving these creatures, or the skeletons that were sent to block the door, back into the room to create enough space for it to get into the room, but also for the Sand Raider that got knocked down. It crawls out, stands up, goes around the corner to the other door and squeezes in, and does, it puts them in a little bit more of a different mindset of, having to deal with multiple entrances and strong enemies. But I also changed the Blunderbore stat block. I took a look at it. Actually, let me pull up. Let's see, where is it? Yeah, the Blunderbore. I looked at the Marrow, which is a aquatic creature. Yeah, you'll see the Gargantuan. They are very similar. So what I did was I took a look, like I should have at the very beginning, at the stat block in To Hell and Back. And it turns out they have some slightly different stats. First off, I realized that monsters can have stats above 20, so, even though you're starting at 20 strength, some of these things can have 25, 27, 28, 30, maybe. I don't think they're going to be facing down something that has 30 strength, but, we'll see. I also realized they also have regeneration. So, yeah, Blunderbores are going to be very dangerous moving forward. I took a look at the Troll stat block. Actually, I'm going to drop that one here. Marrow. Yeah, just getting a log of this. So, yeah, they're going to be facing down some creatures that are going to be a bit more problematic. After they took care of those other creatures, they ran into another hallway, down the hallway into another room, and got attacked by, I think it was 12 skeletons, the Burning Dead. And one of the Burning Dead rolls a nat 1. So the way that I roll nat 1s, or the way that I do nat 1s on attack rolls, is I have the attacker roll another nat 1, another d20 to see how bad it is. And on like 17, 18, 19, 20, or 18 through 20, I can't remember, it's just a normal miss, nothing bad. But anything beyond that is an increasingly negative result. And it could be something like, oh, you have disadvantage on your next weapon attack, or your weapon flies out of your hand, or you fall prone, or something like that. So, one of the skeletons, one of the Burning Dead, rolls a nat 1. And to confirm the roll, it gets a 2. So, I was just kind of thinking about what I wanted to do for this, and some of the other players were just kind of joking around saying, oh, what happens, what if, the Necromancer takes control of it? And I was like, okay, that's actually funny enough. Okay, so if you use your reaction and you roll a nat 20, oh, congratulations, you have a limited edition summon, quote unquote. So, yeah, he now has a skeleton with 20 hit points that deals 2d6 plus 2 fire damage on melee and range. So, congratulations, you won the prize. Anyway, that's why I love D&D, just some of the crazy stuff that happens. Let's get into the changelog. All right, a handful of changes from last week. Last video. The Spirit Wolf is now explicitly proficient in perception and stealth. This is just kind of moving forward. I'm going to be, instead of saying there's a set number, I'm going to just say, this is now proficient in these skills because the proficiency bonus will be going up. This isn't a monster stat block where it's static. This is a continuing improvement. The Necromancer's bone armor now requires a bone for false life instead of alcohol as its material component. It's just kind of a flavor thing. It's a minor change, and you already have an arcane focus anyway, so it doesn't make too much of a difference, but it's a nice flavor thing. I like it. And then at last, the Bone Spirit on the Necromancer requires the target to not be behind full cover or to have a gap of at least 1 inch. The way that Bone Spirit actually works is you're supposed to summon a malevolent spirit that you sick on a target, and it moves here and there and everywhere trying to track it down. It actually does track, but if it runs into a pillar or a wall or something, then it stops. So yeah, you're going to have to be able to find an opening to that creature. So pretty simple, nothing crazy. Let's go on to the main event. So the Assassin has been very fun to play. I think they're only at level 6 right now, but last time I checked, the last Assassin died at level 5. There's not been a ton of changes to the main class because I don't think it really needs all that much. There are some things that could be changed here and there. One of the things that I've been thinking of right here, when you summon the Shadow Warrior, it gains up to 2 of the following Assassin class features. You must have those features in order to choose them: Blade Shield, Burst of Speed, Fade, and Venom. In the main class, you actually get 2 more: Finesse Mastery and Weapon Block. While the original Shadow Warrior does not get those abilities because those are passive abilities rather than activated in Diablo 2, it just kind of feels right, and it gives, while it does make it more powerful, and you'll see with the Shadow Assassin how much more powerful it gets, it gives it more variety. It gives it much more variety so that you can pick, Finesse Mastery and Weapon Block if you want to have a tank, I think. Well, it deals a little bit more damage, but you're able to, you're able to do something a little bit more. It also gives you a bit more variety until you pick up, Fade at 15th level, because you're only getting Burst of Speed until you get Fade, and then Blade Shield and Venom at higher levels. So yeah, it might be something worth looking at. So the Kicksin is not complete. It's barely worked on. I know that I want the Kicksin to have 3 charge-up skills, 2 at 3rd level and another at 10th, and then 2 finishing moves, 1 at 6th and 1 at 14th. And the way that they're supposed to work is there's supposed to be a charge-up and finishing move. That's how it works in Diablo 2. You use your charges, you attack, and then you release them all in finishing moves. But how that translates, because it is a very complex system, because you have a charge-up skill that has 3 levels of charge-up, and then finishing move that adds an additional effect, it's a question that I'll have to sit down and actually come up with at one point. The Shadow Assassin is doing fairly well. I mean, I only have 2 here, but Psychic Hammer is basically just telekinesis, but a little different. I don't know if I want to make this the actual attack of the Shadow Assassin, or it's like a bonus action knockback. I guess I could split it into 2, where you have your attack that's actually like damaging something, or like a shove. That's actually not a bad idea. You can shove, quote unquote, shove as a bonus action, but you use your intelligence rather than your strength for the athletics check. That might be interesting. Ooh, that's something I might have to do. It does set it aside, or set it apart from telekinesis, which is basically the telekinetic feat. So I might have to consider that. Let me type that in there. Okay, yeah, that's actually something that might be interesting to do. Cloak of Shadows is kind of giving me trouble. The way that it's written out is just kind of frustrating. I realize that I have something I can use. So this is Icy Veins, and this is the assassin as it's laid out in the document that I'm going over. 1 means it's not currently part of the assassin tree. 2 means that it is a subclass feature other than the Phoenix Strike, because I ran out of skill points. That is supposed to be a 2. And 10 here means that it is a base class feature. There are 7, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 base class features. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are not used. Anyway, so the Shadow Assassin gets Psychic Hammer, Cloak of Shadows, Mind Blast, and Shadow Master. Cloak of Shadows is supposed to be your stealthy thing. It kind of blinds the things around you. That's all well and good, but translating that into a mechanical issue can be very problematic. So I made Cloak of Shadows just give you the invisibility and greater invisibility spells. Greater invisibility, the reason why invisibility is duration 1 minute is so that it lines up with greater invisibility. So there's no difference when you cast it. It's just becomes greater invisibility. And that way you can attack. It does kind of the same thing. It's not exact, but it's very good at what it does. Mind Blast is still looking a little weird. Shadow Master, this is where the Shadow Warrior gets really problematic, because when you summon the Shadow Warrior, you may choose each skill rather than 2. You must still meet the prerequisites. And because of that, if you are able to get the Shadow Warrior, you get everything. You'd get that Finesse Mastery and Weapon Block, and it would be very, very powerful. And it would require some tweaking, where I would give it a bonus action not unarmed strike, a bonus action Battle Gauntlet, so that it's using 2 weapons for the Weapon Block. And not only that, it gains the Psychic Hammer, Cloak of Shadows, and Mind Blast abilities. So it can actually just drop greater invisibility on itself, and then boom. We'll see. I mean, it's a summon, so I don't know. I really do like the idea of it getting just everything, but meh. And here we are at the Trapsin, the one that actually started this whole traipse down memory lane. The Trapsin is giving me troubles. So you'll see over here on Icy Veins, you get... where are you? You get Firebomb, you get Blade Sentinel, you get Wake of Fire, and you get Death Sentry. Unlike the Martial Arts Assassin, which gets literally this entire tree right here, the Trap Assassin shares one of its abilities, Blade Shield, with the rest of the Assassins. But the rest of these are fairly open. Now, I will never do Blade Fury. And the reason for that is quite simple. It's just Shuriken. You're just chucking these ninja stars. That's all it is. There's no traps involved. Whereas the rest of these involve mechanical stuff. So what I was thinking with the Trap Assassin is, firstly, you still get the Tinker's Tools, but I'm considering bumping that to Tinker's Tools and Smith's Tools, and then giving you a Fire Blast and Shock Grenade. These are the ones that you throw. You deploy them by just chucking them out there. And then Firebomb, or Fire Blast, I think is a 5-foot radius. Let me see. Yep, 5-foot radius. That is a 1 square or 4 squares, depending on where you throw it. And then Shockweb, I'm thinking of doing it like maybe a 15-foot square. It deals a little bit less lightning damage. It has a greater area, but it deals less. And then you'd be able to tweak which one you get whenever you make your grenades. I believe it's a long rest. which can be over a short or long rest. Yeah, so it gives you some elemental variety. And then the rest of these, Wake of Fire, Charged Bolt Sentry, Lightning Sentry, Wake of Inferno, and Death Sentry, much like the assassins, not the assassins, excuse me, the artillerist, artificer, you'd be able to deploy a cannon that just kind of sits there and shoots stuff. Instead of deploying multiple ones like the Diablo 2 assassin does, you get one and you'll probably be able to make it move or something like that. I'm genuinely considering getting rid of Blade Sentinel because it's... Look at this. That is one ability. This is an alternate ability, alternate version of the ability. I'm thinking of just getting rid of it because that is a ton of words for a very simple thing. So then, yeah, I'll end up with getting rid of that. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, just a check-in to show you where I am, where my thoughts are, and why I'm possibly just getting rid of Blade Sentinel and reworking the Trapsin from basically the ground up. I really do like Fire Blast. I love Fire Blast. It played so nicely with my players, and it did a ton of really good work. But I do think that it's just the rest of the class needs a ton of work. And yes, I know these two aren't created, but a lot of the It's not just what is written down. It's the idea behind it. It's what am I thinking of for this class? And reorganizing my thoughts in what I want a class or subclass to be is a part of the creative process. And that's just kind of what I'm doing with this video. If I do this again, it'll probably be with the druid, because I was talking with one of my players who plays a druid, and just the insanity of trying to figure out action economy with summons and the increasing current and maximum hit points, because he's not using his wear form, because you can only use it twice per long rest. So anyway, that's a different video, and I think I will end it here. So you can find me at XenosFan2, that is XENOZFAN2 on Twitter and Reddit. And you can find the channel directly at Diablo TODND on Twitter and on YouTube. Thank you much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good whatever.